Hi, welcome my political show, Kavindu Political Times. Today on the show, we're going to talk about a major update in the presidential election in the United States, or maybe I may have come to the conclusion of something which I want you to fight me in the comment section if I'm wrong. Before I start the show, I want to say hit the like button and subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon, and also please put your opinions on if I'm wrong or right in the comment section and what you want me to talk about as well. So let's start off the show today. Now today's show is also about the judgment. Now I know I might sound a bit early on the situation, but let me tell you something. It's not what you think what I'm going to say. I'm going to make a bold claim. Joe Biden has already got the election in his hand, considering his vice president pick being a strong female vice presidential pick. Considering that in mind, Joe Biden has certainly picked one of the more modern approaches towards politics that should work. But many people might say that I would say it's the truth. He has got the election in his hand at the moment. If you look at many polls online, many polls through states and many early pre-election polls, Joe Biden is having a clear lead over President Donald Trump. And there is no question about that. And when a presidential candidate is often that far ahead from the start, but let me tell you something. I learned a lot from last election 5 years ago when Hillary Clinton was significantly ahead, but the candidate behind came on top and won. Now that candidate is infamous but well-known current President Donald Trump. He beat the odds. He came against the establishment to win against Hillary Clinton. Now, of course, some people might say his winning contribution was correlated to the FBI document that was pre-election time, but I don't think that's so much count anymore. But after 5 years later, Donald Trump is in the same position is where Hillary Clinton is, where he feels he's confident of his victory. He feels confident, but the opposition feels like, no, I got the package. But the reality is that Donald Trump is in a very delicate spot. In the last 5 years of his presidency has been a wonderful time for the United States. There is no question. Economically, the United States had never been stronger. The United States have taken good step towards forwards. I mean, good in international politics, especially between, we recently know how Saudi Arabia and of how the UAE and of course Israel coming to further sensible relations. But that all seems great achievements. But I will episode specially built for that, and why do I don't feel optimistic about that particular one. But the thing is, President Trump has some admirable work and he should be applauded for his work. He should be applauded. However, there is a very interesting question. I'm going to talk about history. I know what you're going to say about history, and some people might not like dragging history in the back, but I'm going to drag history. Jimmy Carter was a one-term president, and his presidential legacy will always be one-term president. But if you look at Jimmy Carter's entire presidency, he has achieved a lot as president in his one term. But I always ask myself a question. What happens if Jimmy Carter did ask second term? What happened if he won? Would his legacy be tarnished by the miseries that the United States would go through in the following periods? I mean, that depends in. Someone like Richard Nixon, what if he did not ask for the second term? What would have happened? It again remains a mystery. But the question is, sometimes it's good to achieve your thing in the first term and don't go for the second term policy. But I'm not going to say that with President Trump. He has achieved a lot of success. He has been a true patriot for the United States. He has put the United States first before anyone else. It's something this country always needed. But I'm going to ask myself a question, and you, the public. Do we care about the UAE or Israel when in our country, United States, we have Black Lives Matter movement struggling through streets asking for civil rights, asking for justice, or time when people are dying from the COVID-19 pandemic, cases are increasing. President Trump needs to understand that while his achievements are admirable, I'm a big fan of President Trump personally speaking, of his presidency. I'm a big fan so far, but last few moments have not exactly been, let's say, championship moments for President Trump in a significant way. The Black Lives Matter movement has been stretching, sweeping across the United States. I mean, there's a reason for that. They feel that they have been serving injustice from all the arguments. Now myself, I am against racism. I believe I do support the movement, and I believe I support the movement. But President Trump is the strongest leader the United States can have. He's a strong, powerful leader with a strong mind. He can achieve anything. But the problem President Trump had gotten himself into is he ignored certain matters. I think President Trump is taking things in a bit of a chill pill on things, and I guess he thinks in the old-fashioned way. Things will go away rather fast. But let me remind you, injustice in the United States have been caused for many years. Despite during the wonderful presidency of the Clinton era, we saw how the things have been going through, lesser circumstances and etc. But post that, we have seen the circumstances the United States have often turned to other nations about racism and etc. But the United States have often fallen behind on that policy. Now, I believe the United States have tried their best to avoid racism. The United States has an African American president, Barack Obama. Makes sense. But just having a president African American doesn't mean the true purpose is served. Now, of course, President Trump, for me, I believe President Trump is the right president to carry to do justice for the Black Lives Movement. He is a strong, powerful leader. He will not step back. He will not listen to anyone. He will do what's right. And the Black Lives Movement needs someone like President Trump to do the job right. But this is the problem. President Trump, I don't think, understands it at the moment. For him to win this election, I believe, he needs to look at the movements, what's going around. Now, you might ask me why Joe Biden is winning this election so fairly at the moment. Look, Joe Biden has done something that I'm going to say a fairly modern approach. He has taken a female vice presidential candidate with him. That's quite modern, and it's African American. And I don't know if that's not but a victory confirmation on the juggernaut. But of course you might say nothing is sure until November. Yes, I learned the lesson the hard way 5 years ago. But I learned something that 5 years ago, something else. When you are in power, it's different, because when you are in power, you are responsible for things. You get blamed. And President Trump's presidential achievements are often being forgotten by certain groups because of the certain things that went wrong. Now, I'm not going to say it's wrong them to forget that, because in times, yes, death matters. When people are dying, it's more concerning than what happens in Saudi Arabia or Israel political problems. I can tell you, they might be wearing masks right now and living their normal lives. I can assure that while the United States is stuck behind a thing and no one can do anything with the United States, no businesses can function, people are struggling, sporting events are being virtually cancelled literally, and people are going through hell. President Trump is a strong leader, and that's something the United States required. Because after everything we had in the United States, we needed a leader who was strong, powerful, and muscular to do the job right. But however, no one, look, I'm going to make a claim. No one is perfect as human beings. I'm going to say, no one is perfect. So I think we can forgive President Trump for being a little bit on the wrong side of the coin. I think we can forgive on that coin. But unfortunately, politics don't work that way. If forgiveness was forgiven, Bill Clinton would have not got impeachment trial, wouldn't it? Nah, forgiveness would have been there. It wouldn't have been a case. It would have been a simple problem of Monica Lewinsky, problem sorted, job done, shakalaka boom boom, job finished. But no, because Bill Clinton was the president of the United States, commander of chief of the world's greatest country. And that means the responsibility on his shoulders was more crucial than anything else at the pre-existing time. So the only thing that might tarnish him is that President Trump's only tarnishing legacy is unfortunately is rather ignoring the important questions. Now, I've seen plenty of strong leaders who would have, let me give you a history lesson for you about strong political leaders. President Trump belongs in the highest caliber of the strong, powerful political leaders. There is no question about that, because I would not challenge that, because he's a strong, powerful leader. He has the ability to entice a crowd, to energize a crowd, and there is no question about it. But this is the big question. Should President Trump rely on his base to win the elections, or should he try to win the entire nation on itself? Now, I will be honest, you can't just win an entire nation on yourself, because it's impossible to do that. Really, it's virtually impossible. But you can get certain number of things in track. Now, President Obama may have not won the white vote, maybe not. But he at least managed to attempt it. Remember, he attempted it. So the big question mark is, if you are a voter, like you and me, who should you in this existing moment, I would say vote on Joe Biden. But don't give up on President Trump just yet. I hope he makes a comeback, as because elections should not be a landslide. Realities, landslides can be a little bit of a problem because landslides can often land with wrong decisions. I mean, I can tell you I've seen landslides in my historical political history. I have seen a lot of things. Infamously, a country called in many Asian countries, political landslides are more common than the Indian Ocean filled with water. I mean, recently we saw a landslide in Sri Lankan election. That's a big landslide. We saw Indian elections, a landslide for Narendra Modi. We saw all that. Landslides are great, but they don't bring the recent broader minded circumstances. Now that's maybe something I would want to say. President Trump needs to make sure that if he has to win, he has to make a comeback. He has to make sure he doesn't lose out on the questions. Even if he doesn't have to answer all, he needs to do what's right. At least listen to it, give the opinion. Because at the moment, he's losing a precious opportunity to win the election. He's losing a precious opportunity indeed. There is a significant chance for him to pull this victory, and the question is, can he pull it off? We will see. But before I'm going to end this show, I'm going to say something. Before I end this show, the Black Lives Matter movement deserves justice, as they certainly deserves, because in the United States, not only the United States, around the world, racism has been gone through like a disease. For me, racism is like cancer. It spreads around the world. Racism is built for cowards who can't grow on themselves. Racism in corporate politics is nothing but excuse for a person who can't work hard to be promoted. That's the reality. Racism should not exist in this world. We are born because when we are born, we are the same people. Just because of skin color and certain values doesn't differentiate us as people. That's my message to the people. That's my quote on racism. Thank you very much for joining on my channel. Please put a like on my channel and subscribe on my channel and with the bell icon. Thank you very much.